and welcome to another exciting episode of Can It Take a K26, the show where we take a variety of blasters and see if they can be upgraded using a K26 spring. And if not, what can they be upgraded with? We have options. I am your host, Captain Xavier, and our first contestant, by popular demand, is the Adventure Force Sportsman. Now, the Sportsman, as it appears, is pump action. It is a Springer, but it is, I think, unique, or at least very rare, in that it is a hopper-fed dart blaster. There are hopper-fed Springer rival blasters, and they're arguably even some of the old Koosh balls, the reactor balls, but I don't know of any other hopper-fed dart blasters that are spring-powered. There are a few that are flywheel-powered, obviously, but that is a fairly unique mechanism, or fairly uncommon, very uncommon mechanism. The ratcheting sound is not actually some kind of a ratcheting lock like we've seen in some blasters. It actually is an agitator system. So as it goes back and forth, it causes those flaps in the hopper to bounce up and down, and that is what agitates the darts to make sure that they don't get stuck. So that is pretty neat. It is, in fact, a sealed pusher breech, which is also fairly unusual for a stock blaster until we started seeing things like the Dart Zone Pro and the Ion. But there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in here, so I am curious if it's going to take a K26. But first, let's get those stock numbers and maybe some range time. It's damp here. It's fall in the Pacific Northwest. All right, to the chronograph. Fine. All right, see what kind of stock numbers we get from the Sportsman. 70. 70. 83. 77. 73. Very consistent. Anyway, well, about what you would expect. That's not bad. You're getting 70s to 80s on a stock Springer. Let's see if we can hit anything with it. To the range! It's damp! We're on the range. Let's see if we can hit the 25. Maybe if we aim higher. Aha! A hit! Come on! No! Well, I got one hit. Alright. See if we can make it better. Right, well, the stock performance is not terrible. Let's get it open and see what we can do to it. Yeah, right. Well, that comes apart easier than I was expecting. Interesting. There's a lot of interesting moving parts. Okay, so the ratchet mechanism is very simple. Interesting. Alright, and the spring is ridiculously easy to get to. There it is. And I love Adventure Force for how easy they make that. Oh, and the catch is robust. Oh, I like that. So it's a floating plunger system, obviously, and that whole ring back there is the catch, and it catches very similar to like a Kronos, which is a very strong catch mechanism. Let's check our spring. K26 is a little bit bigger, which is a bit of a problem. Take a look at our catch. This ring on the catch is, oh, it's close. It's going to be a little bit too small, I think, but the frequency is very similar, but it is a thicker wire and it is a little bit heavier, so we might not get enough compression because of this ring, which, I mean, there is a guide on the inside, a ring on the inside, which means we probably could cut that outer ring off, but I'd kind of rather not. we'll give it a try. How much? That does not give us a lot of, well, maybe. We're going to give it a try. Let's see, do I have a section of K26 that is a fairly long spring, actually. How much pre-compression did that have? Not a lot. It used to be a little bit longer than that. That's the same length. That one's better. Okay. Alright, let's give it a cut. I am very dubious of that getting enough compression, but we will find out. Well, the shell went back together again. Let's get this buttoned up and give it a try. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Monkey.
Uh-huh. Alright, now we see if it'll catch. Oh. Nope. Not getting back far enough to catch, I don't think. Probably just a little short. Alright, let's pop it back open and take a look, see what's going on. Yeah, we're definitely bottoming out, I believe. Let's take a look at a different spring now. So K26 does not seem to be getting enough compression. What else do I have? Well, that doesn't seem any heavier. We really can't go with a... I mean, it has to be a really specific spring, unfortunately. Well, that's definitely heavier. It's a little bit longer. A little bit denser frequency. It's definitely heavier. This is, in fact, an Ultra 4 spring. We may have to, yeah, we're going to have to trim that down a little bit. All right. Will it fit over the post on this end? Yep. Okay. Well, it catches. I'm gonna button it up and we'll give it a try. All right. Well, it's priming nicely. It's not too much heavier of a prime, but it's definitely heavier. Let's take it to the chronograph and see how much of a boost it's given us. All right. Now the Sportsman with the Ultra 4 spring in it. Let's see what we're getting now. 96, 99, 102, 101, 98. Yeah, it gave it a boost. The prime is not bad. It doesn't feel like anything's gonna break, and that's a nice little boost. I dig it. Let's see if I can still hit anything with it. Not sure I hit anything with it before. I got one hit. See if I can do better than one hit. To the range. Losing daylight. Camera's running out of battery. Train's coming in. We're gonna do this. All right. The Sportsman with the Ultra 4 spring. Can I hit anything at all? Yes. Well, treat. Yes. Yes! I think it's actually more accurate now that it's got more zing to it. Lovely! Alright, back to the bench. Right, well, that was in fact a notable improvement. We did get a boost in FPS, about 20 or so, and personally I felt it was actually more accurate now that it was going a little bit faster, though that may just be me aiming better, who knows. But at short ranges it definitely has enough zing that I really like it. This would be something that wouldn't be bad for an HVZ. The ability to top off as you go is of course always valuable. You can both feed from the top there, but you can also just shove darts in this little panel here, which, again, is handy in an HVZ. Downside is, of course, if you run completely dry, it can be a little bit cumbersome to reload, but not a bad option. It's a neat blaster. That mechanism is just creative, and I like when they try innovative things. So that was a no for K26, but a yes for a Ultra 4 spring that gave it a nice boost. And I'm sure any number of other similar sized springs would work as well. Oh, I got in just before the rain came down. You might be able to hear it. All right, now for our next contestant after these messages. All of the K26 used on this series was donated by Out of Darts. Check out his new website at outofdarts.com for all your Nerf modding needs. Our next contestant is, of course, the Adventure Force Villainator. The Villainator is also pump action, but it is a revolver. It has a 40-round double stack, you kind of call it double stack, 40-round drum, which is neat. We've seen that before in things like the Turbo Advance, but now they have it in a much more svelte package. I really like the ergonomics of this. I really like how smooth the function is. I am definitely looking forward to seeing how much this can be upgraded. It does have a removable stock, though it's not a standard of any kind. It's not like a standard buffer tube, though it would not be too difficult, I don't think, to adapt that to be either a Nerf stock or a standard buffer tube. But the drum is removable, which I was not expecting, which means if you had multiple drums, it would not be difficult actually to carry these, because they are relatively compact for how much ammo they carry. They're smaller than a 35-round Nerf drum and hold 5 more rounds. So getting a couple of these and running them would actually work. But let's get those numbers, the stock numbers, and hopefully some stock range footage. We will see how the weather behaves. To the chronograph. Drain. Dubious. Alright, now to see what the Villainator is getting for stock numbers. Oh, come on! Drain. Dubious. Alright, now to see what the Villainator is getting for stock numbers. 94, 72, 71, 81, 91. Nice. Very nice. For stock Springer. That is fantastic. For not being one of the pro lines. Alright, let's take it to the range, see if we can hit anything. Still damp. Which isn't surprising, because you probably worked out I'm filming these at the same time and then just splitting it up. Editing's neat. Alright, let's see if the Villainator can hit a target at 25 feet. Yes! Yes! I hit the one behind it. Yes! Almost hit the one behind it again. I dig it. I dig it. Alright, let's take this to the bench and see what we can do with it. I am really starting to like this blaster. I'm really hoping I can get it up to at least 100 FPS. Okay. We are in. Seems fairly straightforward. Again, like I said, that extremely long offset prime is what worries me. I'm not sure what that does. We do again have a spring spacer. Oh, that priming mech is just so many different kinds of offset. I think I failed to mention this earlier, but this actually does have slam fire. And I assume this is part of the slam fire mech? I'm really not sure how the slam fire works on this. It doesn't work the same way it does in like an Alpha Trooper, where there's something that disconnects the trigger from the catch. It looks like it just has a secondary catch. Maybe. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see if we can figure out how to get the spring out of here. It is not going to be easy. Yeah, that definitely looks like that is the... This is the release for the slam fire. It's like there's a second catch system in there. Interesting. I am not even sure how to get the plunger tube out. Try to remove everything that's got a spring so they don't get sproined. Okay, that's cylinder rotation. Well, this appears to be what holds the whole system in. Let's try to pop it open. Okay. Not a particularly large plunger tube. And it just, yeah, it's got a double-sized hole that just lines up with the back of every other cylinder, up, down, up, down. Which is how they got it to fire all of them in one rotation, unlike the Turbo Advance, where you fire the outer ring, switch, fire the inner ring. Okay, K26 looks to be the right size, but this has, the plunger rod is pinned on. Oh, I don't trust that mechanism at all. Oh well. If I break it, I break it. The show must go on. Okay, it looks like the stock spring is pretty much, yeah, the exact same diameter as K26, so that's handy. Stock spring is a little bit shorter. That's probably good. Do I have a squared? And I do, because I think I'm going to want one. Okay. So we've got our K26. Now K26 is a thicker wire and a higher frequency, so compression is definitely going to probably be an issue. The other issue that genuinely concerns me with this one is structural integrity. I am not particularly hopeful that this priming mech will not break. Okay. We can figure out where everything goes. There. Alright, well I think I've got all the internals back where they go. Let's see if I can get the shell back on. Well, I got the K26 in and I got the shell back on, so I'm gonna button it up and see if it works. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Pan.
Okay, sir. Sure. Alright, see if it'll catch. It caught. I can feel the whole shell flexing. Maybe it won't be quite so bad with... Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I'll put the rest of the screws in and we're going to give this thing a test. Well, that's a yes. Oh, sounds a little angry now. Let's take it to the chronograph and see what kind of new numbers we're getting, and I might just have enough daylight to get some more range testing. Let's go. And now, the Villainator with K26. See what we're doing. 112. 108. 113. 112. 108. Yes! Yes! The prime is a little bit stiffer, but again, doesn't feel like anything's going to break yet. I'm still dubious of the internals. If anything gives out, it's going to be that priming mech. But it's catching nice and smooth. It pumps still nice and smooth. It rotates just fine. Oh yeah! Alright, let's go see if I can hit anything with it. Here comes that train! Yes, I'm filming this out of order and editing it fancily. You don't need to know that, but you do. Alright, Villainator on K26. Can I hit anything at all? Yes. Yes. Whoa. Uh-oh. Ran into a little problem there. Have to talk about that one. All right, back to the workbench. Right, well that was a yes, kind of. It does take a K26, it will catch. I did, however, have 2 shots that slam fired even though I wasn't pulling the trigger. And I suspect that is a matter of additional stress on the system, possibly not having a strong enough catch spring. I would need to get in there and tinker around a bit before I would want to take this into the field, especially in something like an HVZ where misfires like that could definitely get you tagged. Possibly a slightly lighter spring, hitting in the 110s, high 110s was exactly where I wanted, but I'd be willing to lose a couple of FPS to get rid of that particular problem. The other option is possibly removing that secondary slam fire, but I really like having slam fire for HVZ just because it gives you that little extra firepower when you need it. I would be willing to let it go, but I think I could probably beef that system up and possibly weaken the spring just a little. Still get around 110, 105 to 110, and probably be able to get that to work. Yeah, definitely a lot of promise. I was impressed that that catch mechanism, that priming mechanism was able to take it. You might be able to reinforce it a little bit if necessary, but it doesn't feel like anything's gonna break too easily. It is a heavy prime, it is a mean clack, and it does cause that to come undone just from the force, which is definitely probably not good. Does it do it when if it's loaded? No. So if you dry fire it, it'll actually pop the cylinder loose, so you might have to reinforce that, put in a pin or something. It's a great platform, and definitely has a lot of potential. If you could get extra drums, that would make all the difference. All right, let's recap. All right, for those of you just tuning in or who just skipped to the end to see the results, that was a no for the Sportsman, but yes to an Ultra 4 upgrade spring, which did give it a nice boost. And that was, in fact, a yes for the Villainator, but it needs a little bit more tweaking because it was having some issues with the slam fire. Slam fire is a notoriously finicky system. The Nerf Slamfire blasters tend to be a little bit more finicky than non-Slamfire blasters, so I'm not terribly surprised that ended up being a slight issue, but once that could be resolved, this would actually be an excellent blaster for HVZ. This one wouldn't be a bad blaster because you can top off as you go, but it doesn't have quite the capacity. This thing having a 40-round capacity, Slamfire, and hitting with K26 just under 120 makes it a fantastic blaster for HVZ, especially if you're in an HVZ where you're not going to be in long, heavy engagements. 40 rounds is a good capacity, but the problem with a revolver is once you run out, there isn't an easy way to reload, unless you actually have replacement cylinders, because the cylinder does come out fairly easily on this one. So if you were to get, you say, 3 of these and take the drums out, or just acquire additional drums somehow, you would then be able to reload quickly. And having just three of these would give you 120 rounds capacity, which is the equivalent, or just slightly under, the capacity of 6 22-round magazines. So, and with half as many reloads. So it's definitely a viable option. I would still favor the Alpha Trooper because magazines are a quicker reload. And because I have lots of the magazines already, but I would absolutely say that this is an excellent HVC blaster. The ability to top off, the ability to reload, all of that combined with its performance, even its stock performance. This is a fantastic HVZ blaster, and I'm really looking forward to tinkering with it a little bit more. If I can get to 2 more drums, I would definitely be tempted to try running this in an HVZ and see how it performed against an Alpha Trooper. So that is the results. Let me know what you would like to see next. I think I have blasters lined up for a few more episodes, but I'd definitely like to know what you guys would like to see. There's a few that keep getting recommended that I have, but somehow they never quite make it to the top of the list. I'll try to get to them. I think I have an X-Shot Regenerator. People keep asking for that one. But I got a couple of others. So let me know what you'd like to see, and thank you guys for watching.